The year is 1994. The Cold War is a fading echo. The internet is a dial-up tone heard only by nerds in basements, and multiplexes are about to be invaded by a movie that made absolutely no sense on paper. It was a film about a giant, spinning metal donut buried in the sand. It starred a fashion designer who hated acting, a leading man who thought the script was trash, and a visual effect made from iced tea. Every studio in Hollywood laughed at it. The most famous film critic in America wanted to burn it. And yet, when the kiwoosh settled, Stargate had launched a universe. Over 400 episodes of television, 3 live-action series, novels, comics, and a fan base that refuses to die. This is the oral history of the accident that changed sci-fi. These are the 15 weirdest facts they probably didn't want you to know. Before Stargate was Stargate, it was 2 entirely different movies stuck in the heads of 2 strangers who hadn't met yet. First, you have Roland Emmerich. In 1978, he's a film student in Munich watching a documentary based on Erich von Daniken's Chariots of the Gods. The book proposes that aliens visited ancient Egypt. Emmerich becomes obsessed. He drafts a script called Necropel, a dark horror sci-fi about a spaceship buried under the Great Pyramid and children going missing. It's too weird, too German, and goes nowhere. Then you have Dean Devlin. He's an actor on Emmerich's 1989 film Moon 44, but he's the kind of actor who quietly rewrites his own lines on set. Devlin has a vision, Lawrence of Arabia in space. A hero chasing a villain through a wormhole. When they finally sit down to talk, they realize their separate obsessions have a geometric overlap. Enter concept artist Oliver Scholl, who suggests they build the movie around the machine, the transportation device. 2 shelved scripts, 1 accidental collaboration, and the Stargate was born. It's the ultimate lesson in Hollywood alchemy. Take 2 piles of junk, smash them together, and pray for gold. Pitching Stargate was a humiliation ritual. Studio executives looked at the scale, the pyramids, the alien planet, the military hardware, and estimated a $100 million price tag. Worse, they couldn't put the movie in a box. Is it a war movie? Is it archaeology? Is it sci-fi? They hated things without labels. Emmerich swore he could do it for $50 million. Nobody believed him. Enter Mario Kassar, the producer who actually liked Egyptian art and had guts. But even with Kassar, the money was tight. So, Dean Devlin pulled a move that would make a con man blush. He told their French co-production partner that the budget was $25 million. He knew it was a lie. He knew it would cost double. But by the time the French accountants realized the truth, they were already emotionally invested and holding a contract. The entire billion-dollar franchise history traces back to a deliberate underreporting of expenses to a French TV company. If they had told the truth, the gate never opens. Let's talk about R.A. The script called for an ancient, terrifying god, a being of immense power. The filmmakers, in a moment of bizarre genius, offered the role to J. Davidson. Here's the rub. Davidson was a London fashion designer. He had accidentally starred in The Crying Game, 1992, and got an Oscar nomination for it. He hated the fame. He hated acting. He was done. To get out of Stargate, Davidson devised a foolproof plan. He demanded $1 million. He figured, no way they pay a fashion designer $1 million to wear a gold bikini. They agreed immediately. Davidson was horrified. He showed up, played the god, and during post-production his voice was digitally warped into that metallic screech. At the first screening, Dean Devlin found Davidson crying in the bathroom. The fashion designer thought he had ruined the movie. He returned to fashion immediately after. The most powerful being in the known universe quit acting twice. James Spader, Daniel Jackson, is a weirdo genius. He read the Stargate script and thought, this is awful. I have to do it. But his curiosity turned to misery on set. He hated the dialogue. He thought it was clunky, stupid, and beneath his Egyptologist character. One day, on location, he simply stopped. He went to his trailer, closed the door, and refused to come out. This is every producer's nightmare. Kurt Russell, Colonel Jack O'Neill, was furious. Russell, the consummate professional who took the movie for a massive paycheck, stormed over to the trailer. He knocked. He went in. According to Devlin, Russell demanded, "What are you doing?" Spader looked up and said, "Come on, admit it. The dialogue is horrible." Russell's reply is Hollywood lore. "Of course, it's horrible. That's why they pay you $1 million. If it was brilliant, you'd do it for free." That moment broke the ice. They realized the movie needed a wink, a knowing nod to the cheese of classic sci-fi. Spader came out, and the chemistry was born. Stubbornness saved the characters. You know, the kawoosh, that unstable vortex of energy that explodes out of the gate before settling into a shimmering puddle? It looks like liquid mercury meets a supernova. It was invented in a garage by a guy who had just been fired. VFX supervisor Jeffrey A. Oken was hired to figure out the Stargate effect. He pitched ideas to Roland Emmerich. Emmerich hated them. All of them. He fired Oken on the spot. But Oken had a crew and a garage rented for the day. Instead of going home, he decided to screw around. They had a 3-foot circular plexiglass tank. They filled it with water and iced tea mix to give the liquid density. They attached a drill to a 2x4 to spin it, creating the strudel swirl effect. Then they found an air mortar. They fired a burst of 2.1 pounds of pressure into the liquid. The water exploded forward in a violent, beautiful burst. It soaked the director of photography, David Stump, completely. Oken took the footage to Emmerich and said, "I know I'm fired, but look at this." Emmerich looked at the screen at the iced tea vortex and said, "I never fired you." The most iconic effect in 90s sci-fi is chemically identical to a glass of Lipton. We accept the Stargate as a sleek metallic ring. It almost wasn't. According to production lore, the original prop was painted black. Not cinematic black, just black. Dean Devlin said it looked like a giant Michelin tire sitting in the desert. They had to repaint it multiple times to get that bronze, alien look, but the shape was the real fight. The original concept wasn't a circle, it was a triangle, an obelisk-like monument standing on its tip. It looked cool, but Emmerich had a specific requirement. He wanted the gate to dial. He wanted chevrons locking into place, a mechanical, tactile sequence. A triangle cannot rotate on a ring. Physics said no. The design switched to a circular ring, and with that change came the spinning inner track. We almost got a stationary triangle that looked like a parking meter for gods. Instead, we got the icon. Watch the opening scene. It's 1928. Archaeologists are uncovering the Stargate in Giza. They are speaking Swedish. Not English, not French, not Arabic, not German. Swedish. There is no canonical production logic explanation for this. It wasn't a Swedish co-production. It wasn't a famous Swedish actor demanding authenticity. It just is. For 3 decades, fans have asked, why are they Swedish? The production has remained silent. It remains one of the most delightful unsolved mistakes in the film. Perhaps the Swedes just got there first. The interior of the fictional Creek Mountain facility, the massive, cathedral-like chamber housing the Stargate, wasn't a set built in a soundstage. It was built inside the Spruce Goose Dome in Long Beach, California. The Spruce Goose was Howard Hughes's massive wooden flying boat, the H-4 Hercules, the largest aircraft ever built. It flew exactly once. The dome built to house Hughes's obsession became the set for the military's obsession with the Stargate. There's a poetic symmetry there, a monument to impossible ambition, housing a portal to impossible worlds. To save money, the alien planet of Abydos needed to look populated. Roland Emmerich wanted wide shots showing the human slaves of RA, but paying for hundreds of extras in the remote deserts of Yuma, Arizona was expensive. So, the crew built scarecrows, stick figures wrapped in burlap, placed far in the distance, moving slightly in the wind. In several wide shots of the mining camp, the people you see are not people. They are agricultural decoys. The film broke box office records while populating a galaxy with haystacks. Before Kurt Russell was Jack O'Neill, Sean Connery was offered the role. Imagine James Bond leading the team through the gate. Connery passed. Wesley Snipes, at the height of his Demolition Man powers, was approached. He declined. Russell himself turned it down multiple times because he was sent the first draft, the really bad one, by accident. When he finally got the shooting script, he signed on for a massive $7 million paycheck. For Daniel Jackson, Matthew Broderick was considered. Ferris Bueller as the nerdy Egyptologist, he couldn't commit. And for R.A., Sir John Gielgud, the classiest stage actor alive, was considered for the role of the alien sun god. We almost had Shakespeare in gold makeup. Instead, we got the fashion designer. If you had seen Stargate in a test screening in 1994, you would have told the studio to burn the print. The first cut was a disaster. Producer Mario Kasser thought it was too slow. He famously ordered the removal of character stuff, including the crucial backstory that O'Neill wants to die because his son accidentally shot himself. They screamed, "This shorter, action-only cut." Audiences hated it. They were confused and bored. Roland Emmerich resigned to failure, insisted on putting the character scenes back in. He restored the grief, the humanity, the slow burn. Suddenly, the test scores jumped. People cared about the guy with the bomb. The lesson? Test audiences are usually right about pacing, but sometimes they need to trust the sadness. In 1994, Roger Ebert was the king. His thumbs up could make a film. His thumbs down could bury it. He put Stargate on his most hated films of the year list. He called it derivative, slow, and silly. That same year, Stargate broke the October box office record. The critical consensus was a shrug, but the audience was a roar. This schism, critics versus fans, defined the franchise's 30-year life. Stargate wasn't made for critics who studied Bergman. It was made for the 12-year-old kid who looked at the pyramids and thought, what if that was a landing pad? That kid grew up to watch 400 episodes. Just as the gate was warming up for television, a man named Omar Zudi, an Egyptologist student and teacher, filed a massive lawsuit. He claimed that Stargate had plagiarized his manuscript, Egyptscape, which he submitted to a studio in 1984. He sued for $149 million. The timing was terrifying. MGM had just bought the rights. A judge ruled that there were substantial similarities in the total concept and feel. The case went on for years. If Zudi had won, there would be no SG-1. It was ultimately settled out of court for a reported $50,000, a fraction of the ask, and Zudi later published his book anyway. But for a hot minute, the entire franchise hung on the outcome of a legal battle with a high school teacher. Most fans don't know that Stargate 1994 was never meant to be a TV show. It was supposed to be a trilogy. Dean Devlin revealed the plan. The first movie was Egypt. The second movie would have explored the Mayan pyramids, revealing that the aliens had also influenced Mesoamerica. The third movie would have gone hog wild, tying together every mystery on Earth, Bigfoot, the Yeti, the Loch Ness Monster as experiments or remnants of the alien race. Yes, there was a reality where Kurt Russell fought the Loch Ness Monster as a Stargate sequel. When MGM bought the property, they chose TV over the movies. Emmerich and Devlin walked away. The Bigfoot theory of the universe was abandoned for the gold. We got SG-1, which is arguably better, but we lost the insane spectacle of a cinematic Nessie. Here is the fact that rewrites history. In 1994, before most people had an email address, Dean Devlin built a website for Stargate. It was the first official movie website in history. It had photos, trailers, and information. It sounds quaint now, but at the time, the internet was a text-based university tool. Marketing meant TV spots and newspaper ads. Devlin, a self-confessed nerd, saw the potential of a direct line to the fans. He bypassed the critics, the studios, and the gatekeepers. He put the movie on the World Wide Web. Think about what that started. Every Marvel Twitter account, every Disney Plus landing page, every viral ARG, they all trace their lineage back to a sci-fi movie about a tire that sprayed iced tea. Stargate didn't just open a portal to Abydos. It opened the portal for digital marketing. Most people have no idea. Now you do.